Hi, it's Carolyn, the contest queen, and I am super excited tonight because I have one of the most amazing law of attraction teachers with me that you might never have heard of. His name's Andrew Kap, and he wrote, you can see it behind him a little bit because we're sharing the screen. And I have his book here. Oh, yeah, you got it because I have it on my Kindle. There we go.
I love it. Connecting books right here through the space.
And yeah, it's fantastic. I love having it on my Kindle because I could read it when I travel and stuff. It's portable and I can carry all my books with me. So if you haven't heard of him, and it really is true, I love that you don't have your name on the cover because the title is so big that it's just the whole book. But it's true. And what I like about your book is it's so simple and it's easy to read and it's easy to go step by step. And then you give people choices. So, you know what? I'm so excited about Andrew. I'm off topic. So let's go back to the beginning. And this is with the contest queen. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Andrew. Of course, we already know that he's the author of the last law of attraction book you'll ever need to read. And it is a bestseller. So if you don't have it yet, why not? And how it's different than the other law of attraction books is that he addresses the why. And the why is really important when you are using the law of attraction. And it helps you get into the habit. And his book, you only need to do it 5 minutes every day. And you can't tell me you don't have 5 minutes. You can even do it when you're brushing your teeth. So there's no excuses. And once you're finished with the book, you can check him out on YouTube. He also has a fantastic YouTube channel with literally hundreds of videos. And they're not very long. They're like little they're almost like little chapters, little booklets in themselves. And he answers readers' questions too. So if you have one, you can message him and he will answer it probably in another video. And so welcome to With the Contest Queen. And we're going to help all of my viewers learn how to use your methods and win prizes.
I love it. Carolyn, thank you so much for having me. I'm really, it's so funny because we go live and people see an interview segment begin, but they never see the backstage of the conversation before you go live. And I can just speak. I'm sure every guest has this experience. We were already in such a great rapport and great conversation that I'm really excited for this talk. And I realize when you have a book called The Last Law of Attraction Book You'll Ever Need to Read, you've got to bring it. So I'm very happy to challenge myself up front to make sure that I deliver for your audience in whatever direction we might go into tonight.
Okay, so this is really a good question because everybody has, I've always said this, everybody always has a story. Like everybody could write a book. So how did you start the journey from, from where you were to writing the book? Like what was that arc for you?
Yeah, it's so interesting. And whenever I'm asked this, I'm like, okay, Andrew, make sure you get as efficient as this is possible because this is the most long-winded answer ever, unless I watch myself. Because I learned about law of attraction back in 2004. And it was one modality of many where I was just a young, struggling entrepreneur trying to figure out, okay, what's the secret to happiness? What's the secret to success? And to be candid, it was not very reliable. At that time, like I was very hit and miss. Sometimes I would succeed, sometimes I would fail. And I basically went through this period of just trying different things out and never really, again, it wasn't very consistent, but I didn't realize I was the one who wasn't consistent. I was the one not bringing what he should to the table because 2008 hits 4 years later. I've been bumping around for 4 years. And I go through this period, this really intense week where I lose both my girlfriend of 3 years and my company that I'd been building for years, all within the span of like 3 days. And she didn't break up in person. She didn't even break up over a phone call. She broke up over text. So things were rough. Things were bad. And by the way, it was so bad because I was so desperately trying to hold my company together that I couldn't give the relationship enough, life. And then when I finally quit my company to make that work, it was too little too late. It was a mess. I'm sure people can relate where things, when it rains, it pours. And I had this very weird simultaneous epiphany and moment of indignation, kind of like looking in the mirror, like, what's going on here? Something has to change. And now that I think about it, that law of attraction thing, of all the things I did, whenever I actually did it, it would start to work. And then I stopped. And I said, okay, well, you know what? I don't care what happens. I don't care when it happens, how it happens, why it happens. I don't care about any of that. I'm going to go all in with this thing once and for all. And when I say all in, I don't mean all day, every day, because as angry as I was with myself and as determined, I was still self aware enough to know that's not sustainable. You'll drive yourself crazy trying to be perfect all day. But what I could do was 5 or 10 minutes a day of simple gratitude exercises, visualization, scripting, and see what happened. And it was kind of like a movie, Carolyn, where as soon as I made that decision, everything started to change. 2 weeks later, I felt better, which is saying a lot for someone with a broken heart and a crushed company. 3 months later, I'm in a brand new, way healthier relationship. 4 months later, I'm making more money than at any point in my life before then. And 6 months later, everything's different. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm happy and fulfilled. Everything's working on all cylinders. And I basically learned that this thing, and we'll call it the law of attraction, whatever it is, it works when you work it, when you're just consistent, when you find a way to actually be consistent with these methods, with viewing them as a choice rather than a chore. That's when things happen. And that's 2008. It took me 11 years before deciding to actually write this book, because I just like went through life at that point. And I came to this point, running other businesses and just doing all sorts of work. I'm like, okay, I want to do something new, but what can I do where, to be really candid, I'm not going to get bored or impatient interacting with my customers? What is it about my life that I'm actually interested in? I'm like, okay, well, I never really talk about this law of attraction thing, which is such an integral part of my life, but there's like 1,000 books, not like hundreds, but thousands. I need to give myself permission to say something different, not just any other thing. Hence this very bold promise, this very bold title of the last law of attraction book you ever need to read, because I want to set out to make this not the last one you'll read, because everyone still wants to read. I want to be the last one you'll ever need to read, meaning once you read this, you'll know why it wasn't working before. You'll know what to do about it and how to do it. And then you'll be forever changed, because technically it won't even be my book teaching at that point. It'll be your own personal life experience, and nothing can replace that. And that is hopefully my most long-winded answer of the evening.
It's actually really good, because I think a lot of people need to fall down first before they get back up. And I also like to do a vision board. And I learned something a long time ago about this. When you set out an intention and you put something out, so say you want this really great relationship. I was married and I had dreamed of this certain type of relationship, and I thought, okay, we could work on our marriage and we can get to a certain place. No, my marriage fell apart, and then I had to be alone and heal for a while, and then I met that relationship. So yeah, I got what I wanted. The universe was answering me, but they're like, you sure you want that? Because we're going to dismantle this first before you get what you asked for. And you have to be prepared for that sometimes, because people go, well, it's falling apart. No. It's falling together.
Yeah. You bring up a very important critical point that most people don't think about. And the reason why some people quit, because I went through it in my own life, and people go through it in different situations where they will go down this rabbit hole and they will do these methods and actually enjoy them. And they'll be confused because things are going wrong. People, like their job, all of a sudden people are undercutting them or not being friendly with them, or whatever it might be. And they're like, why is this happening? Well, it's because they think that they wanted the promotion, but what they really wanted was the better commute, the better colleagues, the better career opportunity. And the universe is like, well, you're not going to get that here. You're going to get it someplace else. So since it's going to take you 10 years to make this decision on your own, but you've kind of start the vibration of it, I'm going to go ahead and nudge a few things so that that job goes away really quick. And then you apply for the job that you really want, and you're happier in 1 month versus 10 years.
Right. I love that. Now, I always ask the guests questions in advance, and Andrew sent in some of the coolest stories of success stories of people that he's worked with from reading his book. And I'm going to have to get you to share some of them, because some of them are amazing. And I think you've done a few videos on these too. So you can also go to his YouTube channel, and his YouTube channel is his name, just to make it easy. So if you just put that into YouTube, you'll find them, and subscribe. And of course, that's what, right?
It's like, well, come on, that's a thing to do. It's YouTube, right? And thank you for the plug. And like you were saying, yeah, I think the best thing you can do, obviously, is give value wherever you can. And it's very easy for me to be like, oh, well, here's this person and they use law of attraction. Here's what's happened, and like, awesome success story. But when I have someone writing to me and they're communicating this information, first thing I'm thinking of is like, well, I wonder if they'd be willing to be interviewed and go deep. Because one thing I understand, is human nature. I understand there's a curiosity. People don't just want to hear the success; they want to hear how it happened. They want to dissect it. They want to, like, okay, what
Right.
method did this person use? Not that you have to use that method. Was it in the morning or evening? Now, that has to be morning or evening for you. Like, you don't have to do that way, but people want to know. So, yeah, I did a couple of interviews with people where it's like I just asked them questions, kind of like if I'm a viewer wanting to dissect and break down their process of success, what are the kinds of questions that need to be asked so that I can get the right answers and the right information out of them. So that was my goal. And like, one interview, by the way, I can't take credit for this. I mean, I don't take credit for any of it, but I definitely can't take credit for this one person, Chris, my first interview, because she used scripting, which I teach about in my book, but she
Right.
didn't learn scripting from me. She just used it. So I was like, okay, you're perfect for an interview. And she basically used scripting to go from like $0, or if we want to be really accurate, $300 in the bank, to over $1 million in like 16 months. And it's like, when you hear someone say that, it's like, okay, it's not enough to like, okay, that's great. You want to hear, what is their process? Did they handwrite? Did they type it out? Does it matter? Did they do it in the morning or evening? Like, what are the details about what they did that you could make a decision that you're going to model, or at least have some kind of inspiration or some kind of deeper insight as to why or how this happens and how you can replicate it for yourself?
Right. Actually, and the nice thing about this is I use StreamYard, so people ask questions and I can show them up here on the screen. So Lynn says, is this something that'll happen regardless if you believe in the method while you'll use it?
Okay. So, such a good question. And here's how I break this down. And by the way, that question doesn't sound skeptical to me, but the answer I'm about to give, I often give to people that are skeptical about law of attraction, because it's the same thing. Do you believe it? Does that matter? So oftentimes, I'll give an example of lifting weights to get muscles, which is obviously a very oversimplified thing, but we still understand it. Lift weights, get muscles, right? So I want to give two possible explanations as to how that actually happens for someone. Explanation number one is they lift weights and then they go to sleep. And while they're sleeping at night, the muscle fairy comes and waves a magic wand, and poof, they wake up with muscles the next day. All right. Explanation number two is when you are lifting weights, you're actually putting so much stress on your body that your muscles are tearing in little areas. And then your body goes through a healing process where it's filling in those gaps with more muscle fiber, hence stronger, bigger muscles, whatever it might be. Now, I know that's a butchered explanation, but I guarantee you most people, I say, which one is it? They're going to say that that second explanation is the right one, to which I would say, it actually doesn't matter what the answer is. What matters is you lift weights, you get muscles. You put an X, you get Y. And by that same token, regardless of whether you believe in the law of attraction or not, if you engage in a process of gratitude, visualization, scripting, without trying to force it, without an expectation or requirement about how it has to go, just an open-ended, open invitation to the universe to pleasantly surprise you, and you engage in just a couple minutes a day of feeling good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both, things will happen. And again, I didn't view that question skeptical, but for any skeptics out there, when those things happen, I implore you, do not give me credit. Don't give Carolyn credit. Don't give my book credit. Don't give the universe credit. Don't give the law of attraction credit. But at the very least, recognize that you engaged in this very easy process and things started happening. And so continue with this little experiment in life to see if it keeps happening for you, because spoiler alert, it will. But you need to have a really open-ended attitude about it, but it does not require actual belief in order for it to actually happen.
I like that. And it's amazing how similar it is to the hobby of contesting, because I call it January at the gym. Somebody will see, something about the hobby, and they're like, yeah, and they'll enter 3, and then they'll write me and say, well, I didn't win. And it's like, well, you're not entering consistently. You're not. And the same with you. You didn't just script once or give gratitude once and go, okay, and then 6 months later your life has changed. No, you consistently gave gratitude and focused on what you want, and over time it changed. So just like going to the gym, if you want to lose 20 pounds, you know, or get fit, you have to go to the gym, you know, 3 to 5 times a week, do the same machines over and over and over and over time. And the same with the hobby. If you want to win, you consistently enter, and once you get the funnel going, you'll start to win consistently. And it's all the same stuff, but you can't just do it 2 or 3 times and think everything's going to change.
Yeah. And we actually, Carolyn, we stumbled on, it's kind of hidden there very subtly, the reason why a lot of people don't succeed with the law of attraction. And I would assume with contests, but obviously I'm speaking in my own wheelhouse here. Because the thing is, a lot of people, like the thing about the gym is painful. And it can be frustrating. It could be intimidating. It could be boring. I mean, like me, I'll never forget. I used to train martial arts because that was engaging to me. It's much easier to punch and kick, because I remember going to a gym and watching someone on a treadmill, and she was reading a magazine and looking at the TV and going between the two. I'm like, this person's bored on that treadmill. So if you're bored, if you're not engaged, if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to keep it up. So here's the thing with law of attraction. A lot of people, they'll write me like, hey, Andrew, I've been doing these methods for like months and nothing's happening. This doesn't work. I'm like, are you even enjoying it? Are you doing these methods from a place of frustration and impatience and doubt and uncertainty and fear? Or are you doing from a place of relaxed confidence? Now I'm just enjoying myself. Because when you're thinking about that thing that you want, but you're gritting your teeth, you're not actually thinking about the thing that you want. You're thinking about the lack of the thing that you want, and you don't realize it. You are reinforcing the vibration of the lack of that job promotion or that car or that mansion. But when you're actually enjoying it, when you're enjoying yourself, well, then your vibration is freer. So this is really about, you know, the gym, I don't have a solution. I mean, find something that you enjoy doing. But for law of attraction, whether it's my method or anybody else's, find methods that are actually fun. And this, by the way, is why I say 5 minutes. Like if you want to do an hour, fine. But if it feels like a chore, if it feels like something that you're obligated to do, where you're getting impatient and you get bored and you get restless and you've got a job to get to or a life to get to or a spouse to get to, you're going to be frustrated. But anyone can do 5 minutes, and 5 minutes of feeling good with any method that works for you, it's going to pick up momentum. There's going to be a consistency and a momentum, and things will happen, which will reinforce your enthusiasm, which will bleed into results, more consistency, more enthusiasm, more results, on and on in an upward trajectory for you.
I'm just chuckling because that advice is the exact same advice I give to people who want to enter sweepstakes. You have to do it consistently with joy, because, you know, if you're sitting here entering and going, I don't know why I'm bothering, I never win. And I'm like, no, you won't win, because that's your attitude. So you're just wasting your time. You're better off just not entering and using that time wisely elsewhere. So you have to be entering expecting to win. I like wondering, which one am I going to win? I know I'm not going to win all of them, but I wonder which one it's going to be. Isn't this exciting? Where am I going to get the call? Where am I going to get the email or the notification? Like, which one is going to show up at my door? It's fun. And I have that expectation every time I'm entering, and I have a joy. And I tell people, the minute it feels like work, stop. It's amazing how the hobby of entering sweepstakes and the law of attraction are mirrors of each other.
Yeah. And I've got to say, Carolyn, there's so much brilliance in what you said there. And obviously I'm projecting, I'm viewing the world through my own glasses, my own lenses, but I think it's so brilliant that you're asking the question of, I wonder which thing I'm going to win, because the way I interpret it, it's through a recognition, whether it's conscious or subconscious, that through human nature, there is a question of what's going to happen with this. So as long as there is a question, why not strategically choose a question that's more sound and more in line with what we want? There could be the question of like, am I going to win? Or the question of, I wonder what I'm going to win. You're going to be in the question no matter what. So it sounds to me like you are intuitively choosing that more empowering path that, again, from my perspective, law of attraction is getting you in the vibration, getting you in the energy of actually getting that win for yourself.
Yeah, and I tell people there's 2 ways to approach the hobby, and I think maybe you can do this with the law of attraction too. So if you're in a good mood, that's, you know, you might know the old sales adage, when's the best time to make a sale? Right after you've made a sale, because you're in that vibration. And so I say, when's the best time to win something? Right after you've won something, because now you're all happy and joyful and off you go to enter. And you can be in that state in a day. But sometimes if you're in a bad mood, I say that's actually a good time to enter. Because if I sit for a while and I'm entering, that bad mood slowly lifts because I'm like, oh, look at that. Look at that cruise I can win. That sounds exciting. And now I'm dreaming about a cruise. Now my mood goes up a bit and then I'm entering something else. Ooh, look at that car. That would be nice. And my mood goes up. So by the time I finish, I'm actually in a really good place. And maybe people can do that with the law of attraction too. If they start off in a bad mood, they could start writing, scripting, or whatever method they like. And by the end of it, then they're in a really good place.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm very easily seeing the parallels that you're drawing here, because what, again, everything you're saying, I'm doing through the lens of law of attraction. What I'm hearing you say is like you were intentionally finding things to feel good about. So of course the prizes that could be won, those are good things to think about. So you're raising your vibration in that process, taking yourself out of the bad mood into the good one. And while you're in there, you might as well actually try to enter and see what you can win one of those things, since you're feeling better anyway.
Right. And we'll go to some of the other stories because, one of the things I get asked a lot is, how do I win money? But there's a lot of ways to bring money into your life, not just winning a sweepstakes. You have had some readers have some fantastic success with their businesses and their careers. Why don't I'll let you tell those few stories.
Yeah, the favorite one that pops out in mind, and I'll admit that the reason that this is one of my favorites is because I have an interview, so people can really do a deep dive with this person. Is I've got a 90-day program, and it's like the book in and of itself is alone. I kind of view the book as like the ultimate law of attraction workout, and the 90-day program being like a personal trainer guiding you through the workout. So for those people that just want like this whole thing, the 90 program, all it is me sending you emails with videos where I teach you law of attraction stuff and I walk you through methods just to help you keep consistent, because that's the magic, staying consistent. And these 90 days, I remember one of the members of the thing, it's called Gravity of the Cosmos. She replies back to day 87. So she's 3 days out from ending this thing. And she's like, hey, Andrew, I just want to let you know, when I started this program on day one, I thought I was going to lose my job. Nothing was going right. And it was a sales job. Like I couldn't get anything together. Like I felt lost and it felt inevitable. And now I'm writing you 87 days later, and I make a minimum of $100,000 in sales revenue for my company every single month. Like that's the bottom line. That's not the ceiling. That's the floor. And
Wow.
imagine the change. I mean, and obviously, money is such an easy, tangible example, which is why I bring it up. But that was also reflective of an internal change inside of her, where she basically changed
Right.
who she was and how she viewed and approached life in her process of that sales. And that's why $100,000 for her company is a minimum rather than a maximum. That's why she's hitting it no matter what. So that to me is my favorite story for that kind of thing, because it speaks so well to the tangible, but also there's an intangible within that.
Right. And yeah, and because I like how she stuck to it too. So clearly she was thinking, okay, I'm going to lose my job. What do I have to lose at this point? I might as well do this program. If I'm going downhill, I might as well try something like a last grasp. And she put her all into it. And I think that is, you hit on something that actually Bob Proctor, who recently passed away, was famous for saying, and it's, you have to make the decision. And that's when your life turned around, because you just said to me that you made the decision that you were going to do this regardless.
Yeah. Yes.
And she clearly made the same decision. And again, she had, well, I was going to say similar results, but she had the results for her that were in the same vein.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about like this decision, this choice that you make, from my viewpoint, and it doesn't have to be this way. This is just a clear way that at least I experienced it. It's a choice of, regardless of the world around me, regardless of whether things get
Yes.
worse or get better, I'm just doing this to see what happens. Like I'm in this. I don't care. That was my attitude, was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I've been at this thing for 4 years and it's not working. but it did kind of work, and then I stopped. And that's, but we can dive into that if you want. I mean, there's a reason why I stopped. There's a reason why everybody stops in this process. But once I realized, I'm like, okay, let me stop stopping. Let me just do it and see what happens. And make it better. It might get worse. I don't care. I'm going to keep going. That's a choice that I recommend people make, because then they stick with it regardless of their external circumstances. Because the thing is, something going wrong might be an easy excuse to quit, but also something going right. You might start rationalizing, you know what? All right, this thing did its job. I don't need to keep doing it. It's like, no, you need to keep doing it. It's working and it's free. And you didn't pay anything for it. Like, you just do a meth. Like, that's the funny thing. I mean, my book is very affordable, but you go on my YouTube channel for free, or it's somebody else's YouTube channel. These methods are there for free. All you have to do is find one that you like and do it. And it's like, it's not costing you. It's 5 minutes that you're enjoying yourself. It's not even 5 minutes that you're gritting your teeth through. It's 5 minutes that you get to enjoy the moment, rather than worrying about money, rather than worrying about career or relationships or whatever it might be. It's like, it's a gift in and of itself for yourself.
Yeah. And the other thing we have to remember is we are the ones that label it good or bad.
Yes.
We are the ones that label it. There's always a silver lining. So, for example, I recently entered a sweepstakes without doing my number one tip, which is always read the rules. And I just assumed I was eligible to enter because I was too lazy to go type the URL into my browser, because it was on Instagram and they don't have clickable links in the text. And so, I was, and I made the assumption, because their online sweepstakes are open to me, I assumed the social media ones were the same. And I didn't read the rules, and I get the notification and I was all excited. And then I got the release form and I went, oh, I've made a terrible mistake. And instead of being miserable that I lost the money, I went, this is a really good experience for me to remind people why I give them the advice that I give them. And so I turned it into a TikTok and a YouTube short and a story, and said, okay, there's a reason I give this advice. So there's the silver lining in it, right? That advice, I'm going to tell you, is worth $1,000.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, what I love about that is it's worth so much to so many people. It's worth to every person on TikTok or YouTube who will listen to you and take your advice. But it's also worth it to you because you're getting more traction, more people aware of you through that lesson. It's also reinforcing your message. And that's a very accessible, easily consumable bit of content that you have that can introduce somebody to your world, or also just reinforce their awareness of you in their world, which could lead to a book sale or subscribing to the channel or just talking or whatever it might be. It can go any different direction. And you weren't doing it for that. But the beauty is you don't have to do it with that in mind. Things just happen when you're giving value. And this is for everybody. It doesn't have to be content value. It could be any value in any way in your life. When you do that, things just happen and take off, and you get value back in return.
Right. And it's a good reminder, to me, to take my own advice.
Yeah, we always got to take our own medicine, right?
Right. And it was interesting because I've been doing, your work and others' work. And the minute I realized I made a mistake, of course, I had the stone in the pit of my stomach, because I'm like, oh, how did I do that? And then it didn't take me long to turn around and go, well, you didn't listen to yourself. So I just wrote them a nice email and said, I'm terribly sorry. And I felt bad too, because I'm a marketer and I also run contests for people. And I said, I'm terribly sorry. I've made more work for you, because now the people have to go and draw another name and they have to do the notification. Like, I've just created more work for somebody. I felt terrible. And so I apologize profusely for, making more work for them. I felt so terrible, but then I thought, okay. And I turned it around, and I didn't stay in that state of, misery for long, because what was the point of that? I didn't have it. I didn't have the money to begin with, and I still didn't have it after I made the mistake. So my life technically didn't change.
Exactly. It's part and parcel to the way things work, and we all get those reminders and we all forget. It's almost inevitable. It's kind of like, you get reminded of lessons and you do things differently. And I agree with you. Like, it's just when you're having that attitude of like, okay, lesson learned or reinforced, whatever it might be, let me just move forward from here and not beat myself up about it.
Oh, someone made a good comment. I've got to post this one. This one says, contesting is like a relationship. You get out of it what you put into it. And that's the law of attraction too. You get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah. And just life in general.
Just life in
Contesting, law of
general.
attraction, life, relationships, your career, whatever it might be, your health, all these things. I could not agree more. It's like what you put into it, you will get out.
Now, I loved this answer. So what was your biggest surprise? Because that's one of the things that we're told that, so ask for this or something better, because if the universe has something better planned, don't block it. Like if I decide I want a car and they send me a Ferrari, I'm not going to complain because it's something better. So what was your biggest surprise?
It's so interesting. For me, it's a hard question to answer in terms of surprise, because I when things finally started working out for me, it was more like of an open-ended thing. And I even like, I mean, I forgot even what I wrote to you, because like I do this stuff on the fly. I will say, actually, this I remember, this actually stood out in my mind, and this was a surprise. In that whole process where I, was like, listen, I'm doing this. I don't care what happens, when it happens, any of that. And I made this dramatic change. I lost like 25 pounds over a period of 7 weeks without trying. And when I say not trying, I mean, I was doing mixed martial arts. I was starting, to work out, but I wasn't watching the scale. I wasn't trying to, I was just going through a process. And like, I would think, knowing what I know about the workout, I should have lost 10 pounds at the most. But like, there was just like this momentum to everything. And I remember I was at a party where people who'd seen me for not for a couple months, and like, hey, Andrew, your jaw's looking a little more chiseled. You're looking a little leaner there. Like, what are you doing? And it made me curious to hop on the scale, because, like I said, I wasn't even watching the scale. But when I hop on, I'm like, whoa, this is insane. Like, again, there was no rhyme or reason to me losing that much and being that fit for the time I was, and energy and effort I was putting in to that. But I think there's a momentum behind your intentions that goes into every punch or kick when you're working out with sensei, or every lift when you're bench pressing, or every step on a treadmill, or whatever it is that you might be doing, every word that you write out of gratitude, every form that you fill out, every part of a form that you fill out when you're contesting, every single thing. Like, when there's an enthusiasm, a positivity, and an energy, and a momentum to it, it's like compound interest. It just picks up. And I mean, this isn't like a dramatic thing, 25 pounds, but to me, it was very dramatic, and nothing that I would have expected, and nothing that I was even trying to achieve, but certainly would have gladly taken, because I was very out of shape when I began the process.
I have a different theory that you might not have heard before.
Mm.
And I am a fan of Louise Hay, and she wrote a book called Heal Your Life. And what you might have lost when you made that declaration of, hey, no matter what's going on around me, I'm staying this course, you might literally have lost the weight of the energy, of the emotions and other things you're carrying literally in your body.
Yeah, you know what? I would not disagree with that one bit. And I don't think I lost it right away with a choice. I think I lost it pretty quickly, but pretty quickly and progressively, as I began engaging in the process. And like I said, within 2 weeks, I felt a lot better. I think those first 2 weeks were so critical to shedding a lot of that energetic weight and a lot of that baggage. Really, it's horrible. I mean, I think most people have had their heart broken. Maybe not, and their business fail, but maybe not in the same week. But horrible emotions to go through, and I shed a lot of that weight in those first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've been exactly where you are. I from the .com crash, and the one in 2009. I nearly lost my business. I kept it by the skin of my teeth, and my marriage fell apart, and our money fell apart, and so it's been, down the valley, up the valley. But again,
Mm.
I was asking for some things, and the universe is like, "Are you sure you want those?" I went, "Yes," and I went, "Okay, but we need to do this and this and this," and I went, "Really?"
It's funny you say that, and it's a weird thing for, you know, a law of attraction author to admit, but because I agree with that, I sometimes catch myself playing it too safe, and then I've gotta, like, try to get out of my comfort zone. Meaning, like, there's big things that I want, and I catch like, again, human nature, we're none of us perfect. I've caught myself kind of hedging my bets in a way because I almost felt like, well, for this dramatic thing to happen, I could only imagine what I've gotta go through if I really want this thing, like, right away. So there's been
Yes,
times where I'm
yes.
like,
Be
"Yeah,
careful what you ask for because you just might get it.
yeah,
That's, and I'm aware of that. And I think of that sometimes. I think, okay, because, there's a statistic that says 73% of all lottery winners lose their winnings in the first 5 years. And I think it's because it suddenly gives them an option of choice and they are not ready. They weren't energetically or spiritually ready for that amount of money.
yeah,
And so it just fried out their system and off the money went. And so I think about that and I think, okay, I look back and think, oh, I was trying to manifest this and this and this at these points. And then I think, well, what if that would have happened then when I was on this, journey of heat? And I'm thinking, yeah, that wouldn't have actually been a great time to acquire the wealth or have my business do a turn or have, a book become a New York Times bestseller. That would not have been a good thing. And
mhm,
so I think you have to also trust in the timing of,
yes."
and before we went on air, we talked about it. And I said to Andrew, how do you not have like 1 million followers on YouTube? And I'll let you tell you what you told me because it's a very wise answer.
Thank you. I mean, I appreciate the compliment. So here, just to set up the, I guess for, the context, I've sold just about 95,000 copies of my book. So, I mean, obviously, and I'll take it, I'm very grateful. But I've only got like 3,300 YouTube subscribers. It's like, wow, not that many. And somebody, like one of my readers, recently emailed me and they're like, "Hey, Andrew, if you're the real deal, how come you don't have more YouTube subscribers?" And I thought about it and I was like, I came to a realization. And I wrote them back. I like, you know what? I'm not ready for it. And what I mean by that I'm not ready for 1 million YouTube subscribers is because right now, and we'll go back to what I said, like what made me write the book. I want this life where I'm not, and I want this job or this business where I'm excited about interacting with my readers. I'm at a point right now, again, 95,000 copies sold. I still reply to every single email. I still try to be there for my readers. And I realize that eventually, when I get to whatever number of subscribers on YouTube, I can't do both. Like there's only one of me. There's only so much time in the day. So I am not ready yet to open up the floodgates. And that's not to say that it'll happen automatically. It may not. But I do know, like just knowing myself and looking in the mirror, is like, oh well, this is why I'm not growing. This is why I'm selling so many books because I can keep up with that. But I'm not getting this many subscribers because like all the comments and all the things. It's like it's something I can't keep up with. And this is something where I'm going to have to make a decision at some point. I'm in no rush, which, little expert tip, don't be in a rush if you don't have to be. But at some point, I am going to have to make a choice and a decision if I want more subscribers. Then I'm going to have to accept the fact that I won't be able to engage with my readers with the same level of care and intimacy that I'm currently doing, which is fine, that's why I'm building such a catalog of content for people to use on YouTube and why I was so intentional about the book. Like people don't need me. I just like being there for them. I like being that author where they write and they actually get a response. That's just the way I am. So that's my long-winded excuse for why I don't have many subscribers yet comparatively, but I'm sure it'll only a question of time when I'm ready for it.
Somebody posted a comment. I have to share this with you, and it's kind of brilliant because it's from Abraham Hicks, they also teach the law of attraction.
Hmm?
And it says, there's never a crowd at the leading edge. Not everyone is ready for this yet. And I'm like, that is so brilliant because, yeah, that is it. That's another reason why you might not have those subscribers because you're like over here and the crowd's over here.
Yeah.
And they're not, all of them aren't ready to like come charging over to this area.
Yeah. And my attitude is that's okay, by the way. And I'm sure I mean, I'm aware of Abraham. I imagine Abraham would say that's okay also. And you know, all in good time, and I'm good with it. And I also think it's really important to have someone like an author say this, like, you know, just because like I manifest amazing things, but everyone can manifest amazing things. But like I manifest this amazing thing, but not that amazing thing. That shouldn't be a judgment on the law of attraction or the content. Everyone's like doing their own thing in their own way. And for me, the number one thing is the content actionable? Is it user friendly? Is it accessible? Is it there in a way where someone else can do their thing, can manifest what they want for themselves, can make a change and impact on their life? That for me is the number one goal.
That is really good. I like that. And it's the other thing too that I want people to realize is I've had say I've told people that you were coming on and they said, "Well, isn't that like Francis Scoville Shin who wrote a law of attraction book over 100 years ago?" And I said, "Yeah, but every teacher builds on the next."
Yeah.
Every teacher, somebody sets a base and then the next one takes that and adds their take on it. So now you go, oh, and then somebody else and somebody else, and currently you're the current base. And then eventually you're going to pass the torch to somebody else who's going to take it and take it to the another level.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it with the sweepstakes. Like, I'm not going to teach sweepstaking forever. Helene Hadsel taught it back in the 70s and 80s. And now and in the 2000s, I started teaching it, and I've picked up her torch, and then eventually I'll pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah, I love that attitude, and my attitude is like I welcome someone, and I mean this, to write a better book. But I view it as my responsibility to make it as difficult as possible, so that when a book comes that resonates, it's at a high, like every new level on these. I think for your field and for my field, every new level, every new broken record, whatever it might be, it should be very difficult. It should be, well, not difficult, but it should be very dynamic. In that whoever comes along and changes the space in whatever way they're changing it, they should be offering so much dynamic value in so many ways, and reaching people at such a core level through their words, through their text, through the books, through videos, through their content, whatever it might be. That's what it takes for them to be considered a leader in the field. And I mean, I don't even know if I would call, I don't know if I call myself a leader. Like I feel like I'm kind of like still like this outsider looking in. I'm like this weird fringe thing. Again, like look at here. The thing is, it's so weird. Like you said, I don't even put my name on this thing. Like I break with so much convention. No one knows what the subtitle is because I don't put that on the cover. I don't put my name on the cover. Like I do
It
things
has a
so
subtitle.
differently. I'm sorry.
It has a subtitle.
It has a subtitle, and
I missed that, and I read the whole book.
well, no, it's so. I forget it. The subtitle is the missing key to finally tapping into the universe and manifesting your desires. Another word salad. But the thing is, the vision of this is, I want it to be a thing where like my name on the cover, it doesn't add value to the cover. Like I'm a New Yorker. I kind of had a vision of people reading this on the subway where they're like, what is that? It's like this, is that a magazine? Is that a book? Like, what is this thing? And I really think that the title should speak for itself. And again, I realize it's a bold promise. It's got to be something that lives up to it, because if you don't live up to it, you get a bunch of 1-star reviews. But if you do live up to it, you get a bunch of 5-star reviews, and that you're making an impact. And I want to challenge myself to see if I can like, let me make something that makes a promise, but also hopefully ideally keeps it.
Yeah, it does for sure. What I liked is you broke it down into all the different techniques. I still can't get over how much it's like sweepstaking. Like I say, hey, you can enter in person, by email, on the radio, online, and then social media. Like, you pick what you like and what you have fun with, and that's when you're going to win. And you do the exact same thing. You say, well, here's one method for gratitude, and here's another method, and you can do this one, and you can do that one, and find the one that you like, and that's when you're going to manifest. And I'm like, they're so parallel. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think success, because in the end, you're talking about people reaching a goal with something that, I mean, I don't know if intangible is the right word, but it's something outside of them that they're reaching for in a certain sense, energetically through their desires. And I think it all requires the same thing. It requires an open-ended, positive, confident attitude that's also relaxed in the sense that you're not going to beat yourself up or judge yourself if you're not succeeding every day in the perfect way. Like there's just an open-ended attitude of openness and willingness to accept who you are in the process. And I think it translates and transfers contesting, law of attraction, and probably a bunch of other things as well.
And someone left a comment and they said, I would like to have one of those books. Well, why? Of course, I'm the contest queen. You don't think I would have a guest on and I'm giving away 3 e-copies of his book. And I realized after I didn't put it in the rules, I will go at it in the rules after, but a lot of Andrew's work asks you to journal and write things down. So I'm going to throw in a copy to another lucky winner for a journal that says, ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. I love it.
Pretty cool cover. That was the first time I ever saw that. I'm like, what a cool cover of that book that you chose to give away to people. That's really cool.
I'll send you one.
Thank you. Hey, I'll take it.
I think I cleaned out the store in my area. I bought every copy they had and I've been giving them away. So, and then I decided, why am I not? So then I kept one and I started journaling myself. And actually, nice. I did one of yours today. I wrote this out. I love this one. It says, I am more than happy with what I already have, and I'm so excited for what's on the way. And you have to go watch every single one of his videos to find what that's from.
It's only 150 videos. It's easy, right?
Actually, what's really cool is you can set up on the YouTube, and sometimes I do this if I'm just working away and I'm doing, you know, stuff that I find tedious and, you know, boring, like my business accounting. It's not my favorite thing to do, but, you know, own a business, got to do it. And I'll sit and I'll be doing my expense reports and I'll put on, like I was doing that today. I had your videos on and they were just playing one right after the other. And it was great because it was making the time go faster. I was doing this chore that I didn't like, but it's like, how do you make it better?
Nice.
And so, because, you know, it's numbers, you don't have to focus on it like when you're writing or something. And so I could just, you know, type them in and have the playlist going, and it was great. And then I would have my little book there, and then I would stop for a second and write something out and put it down and go back to it again.
Nice. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the videos today. That's awesome.
Well, and you can do that. Like if someone's got to, you know, you got to do the dishes or fold the laundry, sit there with your iPad or your phone or anything and just listen to the messages. And I think I read an article years ago. I think it was called The Zen of Raking. And the idea is when you're doing a repetitive, mundane chore that keeps your body busy, but doesn't keep your mind busy, you can do something like listen to your videos, and that you can hear them because you're busy over here, you know, sudsing the dishes or folding the laundry, and then you're listening. And I think it gets, for me anyway, I absorb the information better when I do that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And it's a great way to absorb the information without feeling like you're forcing it or getting impatient. It's just playing in the background while you're doing what you're doing. So that's awesome.
Here is a good testimonial. Katrucha says, Andrew, I'm currently reading your book and have been doing well with my attitude of gratitude. I've also been winning more sweepstakes.
Nice. Congrats. That is so awesome. That is so awesome.
I love it. And I love hearing when other people win. You know, there's literally so many sweepstakes out there that is impossible to enter all of them. And so some people think, well, you're entering and you're going to win. What about me? I'm like, no, companies spend literally billions and billions of dollars running promotions. There's so many prizes. You could enter all day and it'd be impossible to enter them all. There's enough prizes for everybody.
Yeah.
So my winning doesn't take away from your winning. There's enough prizes. So yeah, we can all just start winning more. It's awesome. I love it.
Very Abraham Hisk esque of you,
Yes.
how you say that. It's like, there's, you winning is never taken from someone else. There's always more than enough to go around.
Yes, and I just, yeah, I've always felt that. I never ever, even from when I started entering 20 years ago, I never saw it as a pie. And if I got a big piece, I was taking away from somebody else. I've always said all boats rise with the tide,
Mm.
and I had this envisionment of, my climbing a mountain in my business. And I said, well, I'm going up the mountain. Who's coming with me? Like, let's go. And I never saw it as, competition.
Yeah.
That, I sell books too, but I don't see, I don't think, oh my God, someone's going to buy his book. They're not going to buy my book. That's crazy thought.
First of all, when people buy books, they buy like 3 or 4 at a time. Like
Yeah.
it
They can
isn't
buy
like they
all
picked
my
your
homework.
one and then they left everything on the table. But yeah, and it's interesting because I hear the genuine enthusiasm when you say how excited you are when other people win. And like for me, for the most part, I'm kind of predisposed to feeling good for people when good things happen. Also, like, my like peers and friends that are in business and they have like massive wins. I default to being happy for them, but sometimes when I hear about a win and I gloss over because I'm busy, I stop myself because it's like now we're going like into strategy. Like, no, Andrew, I'm going to be selfish. Strategically, I want to make sure that I'm really acknowledging and being happy for that person because I know that's going to contribute to my success when I can really be happy. Like, I'm strategically being happy. I'm trying to amp it up because I know that if I'm reinforcing that attitude, I'm always going to feel good. I'm not going to feel jealous, and good things just come from that.
And I notice and I want to tell people this when they start entering sweepstakes, to have a bit of an attitude, like a focal point. Because I noticed one of the things I was doing, and this is maybe ties into I can't even think where it would tie into your book. I know it ties in somewhere. But one of the things, and I caught myself, if you listen to your internal voice, I was getting a little frustrated doing TikToks for promotion because I all of a sudden caught myself and felt like I was selling.
Hmm.
And I thought, oh, that's not good energy, because no wonder I'm getting like, 100 views. So I would sit down, and before I would start filming, I went, okay, whatever I'm going to say is going to be of value to somebody, and it's going to reach who needs to hear it. I don't know who that is. And my views started going up, and I'm like, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I saw a spike in book sales, and I went, oh, I see how the circle works. I put out value and I resource people, and the universe resources me back. And so we get this nice flow of energy.
Yeah, it's such a very weird, intricate web of value because not only are you energetically putting out this welcome, this open invite to abundance, but also like even taking it out of an energy level, just when you have that intention, the cadence of your voice, your body language, your eye contact into the camera, your subconscious mind understands cues of giving value that other people's subconscious minds can read, even though consciously they don't realize it. It's not like energy's there, but I mean, it's all together. I mean, I think your subconscious mind's an extension of the universe anyway, but your subconscious mind as a computer, as a supercomputer, it knows how to have a cadence and inflection in your voice and in a way you carry yourself that people will just like you because they will intuitively know that you're not trying to take from them and that you're giving to them. They just know. We are so amazingly intuitive, and sometimes we're not used to consciously recognizing that, but we all know. We know in everything. Right now, I am subcommunicating so many things that I have no idea that I'm subcommunicating in every move and every word that I speak, every move I make. I can't control it. It's just the way it is.
Right. And and I see that in your videos. Like, that's the other reason I wanted you on as a guest, because I like your style and I like your video, and I thought, okay, we're kind of like a match, and you could speak to my audience and they would understand, what you have to teach them. And I think it's so fun. And if you just take one of his techniques and, even apply it, because it's only 5 minutes, do it before you start sweepstaking. I would love someone to do an experiment. Do a technique, sweepstakes, 30 days later, let me know what shows up.
Yeah. And I would also reinforce this as you do that, which I think is a wonderful experiment. Don't do it with a sense of requirement of how or when or why you're going to win. Just do it with the sense of I'm using this technique strategically to infuse a level of positivity into this entire process for me, which, by the way, in addition
Oh,
to
that's so
most
good.
likely helping with the sweepstakes, will also help with life in general.
You know what? See, now there's a tip for everybody. I'm the kind of person that would, when I'm going to actually replay the video after we're off air, I would stop it at that point, and that's when I would be getting out my journal and writing. I do this. This is a good tip. If you hear something in one of Andrew's videos, stop the video. You can rewind it a little bit, play it a couple times, write down what he says, and you've got yourself some gold on top of your affirmations.
Yeah,
That's what I
thank
use
you.
this for. I don't just put affirmations in there. I put in pieces of gold. This is a very wealthy book.
Thank you. Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess I'd welcome. I'd be very interested if people do this and see what comes of it. But again, it's an open-ended curiosity. It's not like oh, this better work and it better work in this great way. So I have stories like no, like I know something good's going to come, and I'm just curious how it might play out.
Okay, so we're at our hour, and so I want to remind people that every comment is an entry into winning a copy of one of three copies and the bonus prize of the journal. And the contest is open for a week because I know not everybody can come watch us live. Unfortunately, they're not autographed copies because they're e-copies. I'm giving them out. I didn't even ask the author. I just decided I just love his book so much. I'm just going to give them away. And if you're not in the United States, I discovered this about Amazon, Andrew. I don't know if you know this, but if you're not in the United States, and I have people from all over the world. I just have to give you an Amazon gift card for your country to go buy it yourself, because you can't send Kindle books outside of the United
Yeah.
States.
I discovered that also. You can't send them out. I think I'm not sure if I was able to do in Canada from the US, but I think I might have tried. But yeah, I ran into a couple of situations where I was gifting copies to people and they couldn't accept it. So yeah, I mean, great
Yeah.
workaround, by the way. Just give them a gift card because that will translate, and then they can hopefully choose to buy the book. I mean, I keep the books. The
Wow.
version of the book translating to US dollars is $4. I'd keep it very affordable. I don't want it to be some
Oh
expensive
yeah.
thing that people won't have
There's
access
no
to.
excuse to not buy. And sometimes I find it easier. Um, Honestly, this is so much easier to lie in bed, and I have the dark background on, so I don't
Hmm.
have the light on, and I can lie in bed, and just read it and put it down. It's not. I've had big heavy books fall in my face sometimes. You're tired, bunk. So
I've been there. I've been there.
yeah, and that's another. Here's another tip that he might not have thought of. Whatever you're doing the last 45 minutes before you go to bed is really what plays in your subconscious. If you're reading Andrew's book, even for 5 minutes before you go to sleep, those are the thoughts that are going to run around in your subconscious.
Mm, that
Because
is a really
it's called the hypnagogic state. The space between awake and asleep is called the hypnagogic state. And that's the best place to put out your intentions. So just as I'm waking up, that's when I put out my thought to the universe of, it's going to be a great day. And before I go to sleep, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna wake up in a fantastic day tomorrow. Like, I pre-program my mind as I'm drifting off. So if you want to really absorb the information, his book just before you go to bed. That's
wow.
my winning tip for tonight.
What a cool idea. And hearing you say that really excites me because I know over the next week a lot of my readers, because I've already told readers about it, but I'm going to tell more readers about it. They're going to find their way to this video on the YouTube one. And it's going to be interesting because they're hearing you give this advice, which I want to mirror, like welcoming them to try this out. And since they already email with me, it'll be very interesting to see what comes of it when they try that. So what a wonderfully awesome idea. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, I can't take the credit for it. I learned that from Jack Canfield. My dad, I know we're just going to run over for a few minutes, but when I was 18, my dad gave me a motivational book, and I wish I could remember which one it is, but he said, if I can teach you at 18 what I learned at 36, you'll be way ahead of me. So I've been reading books like yours for well over 30 years. I hate to say that, but it's almost 40 years I've been reading all those books. And or maybe it is 30. Am I aging myself? I don't know. I'm math is not my strong suit. And so that one was from Jack Canfield, that, you know, whatever you're doing the last 45 minutes, so make it really make a good choice. And that's why I like reading books like yours before bed, because that's the stuff that goes into your dreams. And if you're going to dream about something, why not dream about something awesome?
Awesome idea. I'm going to have to try this now, because I've probably heard that before, but it's never made an impression the way you're making an impression on me right now. And I'm more of like a morning person of this focus. So I'm going to be interested to try this out and see where it works for me also.
Yeah, it's I find it's better than, because I've noticed I've done this where sometimes we'll watch Netflix or, you know, Prime or whatever, and you get into a series and, you know, I'll look over at George and I'll go, one more. And I'm like, oh, come on. And so we'll watch too many. And then I'll go to bed, and sure enough, that's what's playing in my sleep. And I'm like, I knew it. I shouldn't have done it. I should have gone to bed and read my books and focused on myself and, you know, self-growth. And that wasn't a good idea. So that, to me, that's proof of it, that's what you want to do.
Yeah. And that's actually is really profound. Most people don't realize, you know, you binge watch beforehand, you're basically like running through scenarios of those characters' lives, for better or worse, in your mind. Sometimes you're aware of it, sometimes you're not. Again, I don't want to run over too much on you here, but I remember watching a certain show, and I found myself going to sleep replaying a conversation of how I would have had the conversation. I'm like, what am I even doing? This is not constructive. And it's a negative conversation. So let me like try to eject, but it's hard because it's in your brain. So I'm with you there.
But but this is where it's good to learn. You try something. This is where people, this is another Jack Canfield tip. There's no failure, because you learn something. So we did that. You know, we both watched TV way too much, way too late. And we go, oh yeah, that wasn't a good idea. I just learned something. Okay, next time I'll try something else. It's you didn't sit there and start crying and close the windows and pour yourself a JD and take a drink because you just made this horrible. No, you're just like, oh, I learned something, and you move on. You're on to the next thing. You're not stressing about it.
Yeah. And the new method, the no big whoop method. No big whoop.
And even when it's hard, you just go, okay, that was a lesson, a big one. Yeah. As somebody told me once, sometimes you have to blow up the laboratory.
That resonates in a lot of ways.
But yeah, there's but I like it.
Sometimes you gotta blow your eyebrows off on the home science experimentation set, you know? It's like things happen.
But we like to blow it up in a good way. I love hearing like the success stories. You read them out on your videos, and I love hearing when people win stuff. And to me, that's kind of blowing it up in a good way, because it's more like firecrackers and those streamers and, you know, horns and champagne.
Yeah. And again, I'm so glad that the content really resonated with you and that you enjoyed it so much. I really am.
Yeah, you know what? It's actually one of those books. I know this sounds like a shameless plug, but it kind of is. It's one of those books I'm going to have to read it again, because it was so full of content that I'm thinking I got to go over it again to make sure I really absorbed it all. So that's a compliment on you as a writer, by the way.
I will take it. Thank you very, very much. Quick little tip. I after writing the book, I copy edited it myself. I went through it literally 10 times. I worked very hard. It was very important that it's not just the for me, the content, it's the delivery of the content. It's how it's articulated. It's the cadence and rhythm of the words so that it
Oh,
lands as efficiently as possible. I literally went through 10 times, fixing and tweaking little and big things so that it would be this experience from the first page to the end page where ideally people would breeze through it. So I take those compliments very seriously, and I really appreciate that.
oh, very good. And I hope everyone gets a chance to read it. Like you said, it's only a few dollars in Amazon if you get the Kindle edition. And oh, here's a tip for people. I don't know if you know this. If they don't own a Kindle, they can just download the app.
Yeah. Free on your
And
computer, free on your phone, free on your tablet.
yeah, free on your tablet. So you can just get the Kindle app, and just have it on any device, and it syncs across devices too. So if you have a Kindle and then you put it on your iPad and you take it somewhere, you can sync your books, so you can just pick up where you left off and you don't lose your space or your place. Just another book tip, not just for his, but for everybody's.
Very good tip.
And so on that note, we're going to sign off. I'm going to blog about it tomorrow, give everybody the extra links so they can find you everywhere. If you don't mind, I might embed one of your videos into my blog.
Cool.
Right?
Yeah. Hey, YouTube has the embed option, right? So please, if there's something that you think is going to give value, please embed away.
And then also, if anybody has any questions, you can post them here and I can send them to Andrew, and maybe you'll end up on one of his videos.
You never know. You never know. But most importantly, whether it's a video or anywhere else, I just hope that it gives value. And Carolyn, again, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Oh my God, I'm so excited that you were able to be on as a guest. Thank you so much. Everybody's in to win, of course, with the contest queen. And then we'll see what happens. And maybe we'll have Andrew back at another time. Maybe we'll get him to do exercises and stuff with us.
I will be game.
Thanks. Bye.